What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another video, and in today's video well, I'm just going to be honest with you guys, I kind of failed. So I thought, because I found the video, which was my first video in doing these vlog things, of Tasmanian tigers in zoos in the US, I thought it would be really cool to try and go and find ivory-billed woodpeckers. Since everybody thinks that they're still alive, I thought it would be cool to go and find an actual official article on some of the ones that were kept in zoos in the United States. Um, Unfortunately, though, I cannot find that, and I think it's because the answer is they just never were. I don't believe there's any zoos in the U.S. that had ivory-billed woodpeckers. I can't find any articles on it. I can't find any zoos that may or may not have had them. So, to be honest with you guys, sorry, my headphone keeps falling out. But I went ahead and did was though is I figured I'd let you guys know that that's the fact. People, like everybody wants these birds to be alive so bad. We never even had them in zoos. There was nowhere unless you saw one out in the wild. Now, granted, I'll give you that. Not a lot of zoos have woodpeckers. I mean, they're honestly even today, that's not an animal that's routinely kept in zoos. So I can kind of understand why, but I still thought it would be really cool if there actually were. So, yeah, I failed. I didn't know that, but now I do, and obviously now, hopefully now you guys do too. So my next best decision for a video for this week, because I had to get something going, was where are all the dead ones? I know there's a bunch of them on display in different museums around the world. So if you guys have ever actually been to a museum and seen an ivory-billed woodpecker, please let me know in the comments down below. The article I did find, though, it said 105 ivory-billed woodpecker specimens. So that's the one I chose to click on. I have not read it. And so it's all going to be new information for me as well as new information for you guys. Maybe information you didn't know about ivory-billed woodpeckers. But at least now you'll know where to definitively, if you want to see one, and you don't feel like trekking through the swamps in Florida, hopefully finding one, or Louisiana or Arkansas, um, this is where you get to go. So, without further ado, though, guys, please do me a huge favor. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, turn on that notification bell so you never miss any videos from me, and drop your comments down below with if you do you think you've seen an ivory-billed woodpecker in person. Have you been to a museum where you've seen a specimen? Do you own a specimen? I don't even know if that's legal. But if you do and it's not legal, please look it up the laws for your states. Let me know. I'd love to see it and send me a picture on Instagram. Without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and get into this video. It's ivory-billed woodpeckers in museums. Like I always like to say at the beginning of these videos, guys, I don't own the rights to this article. I'm simply using it to pass along information. If you guys would like to go read it yourself, this is at amherst.edu. Please go over there and show them some love. And if you don't, just stick around because we're all going to go through this anyway, so we can just go through it together. This is actually a picture of an ivory-billed woodpecker. The now extinct ivory-billed woodpecker on display in the Extinction, the Human Factor at the Beniski Museum of Natural History is superficially smaller in appearance to the local pileated woodpecker. It is the largest North American woodpecker species, and males supported brilliant red crest. Unlike its local cousins, the ivory-billed woodpecker lived in old-growth swamps in the American South and Cuba. Its uniquely shaped bill helped it excavate meter-deep nests in the cavities of dead trees high off the ground. It used its spear-like tongue to extract ants, grubs, and other wood-boring insects. So that's a little backstory on ivory bills. Okay, so this article is from charleston.museum.org. Please go there and show them some love. Hopefully this one is better than the last one because I might include that, but it did not have what I was looking for. So hopefully this is it. This is another museum where you can find ivory bills. I don't know how many this museum has. I misread the last one. It did not have 105. It only has one. So yeah, Charleston is busy ramping up for the season with the opening of the Southeastern Wildlife Expo. With the Charleston Museum's vast natural history collection, we thought it would be fun to focus on several interesting items in our collections throughout the coming week. Ivory-billed woodpecker. We were recently contacted by a producer looking for specimens in museum collections for a documentary about ivory-billed woodpecker. This bird has been in the news a lot over the past few years, with reported sightings of this extirpated beauty and the subsequent search by such groups as the Cornell Lab of Ornithology. So this got me searching for ivory-billed related objects in our own collection. Well, I didn't have to look very far. We have a lovely specimen on exhibit in the Mark Catesby section of our Natural History Hall. It is housed in a diorama with two other extinct birds, the Carolina parakeet and the passenger pigeon, all of which, guys, I have done videos on. The ivory-billed woodpecker was one widespread in South Carolina, especially in hardwood bottomlands such as those in the Santee River Swamp. The ivory-bill's demise was caused by hunting, but also by the destruction of its habitat. By 1936, it had disappeared from South Carolina. Next, the hunt for the ivory-billed woodpecker led me to the museum's archives. Our archivist is always up for a new quest, so she rounded up the ivory-billed related objects within her collection. There was more than I had expected. Mark Catesby, 1976 to 1749, was the first to describe the ivory-billed woodpecker. The museum's first edition copy, one of only approximately 80 remaining copies, of Catesby's Natural History of Carolina, Florida, and the Bahama Island includes this 1731 plate of an ivory bill. The folio is currently on exhibit, and reproduction of this specific plate resides near the ivory bill. Alexander Wilson, 1766 to 1813, also illustrated the species in his American Ornithology. While this rare 1808 volume resides in our archives, a reproduction of the ivory bill plate is on exhibit with the specimen. Okay, so this is how they like. There's actually pictures of them describing it, which is cool. Like I wasn't expecting there to be, but I mean, this is actually more interesting. I think this is like his whole collection. So they actually have a lot of material on ivory bills. So it's kind of insane that. Well, I guess it's not insane, but like it's rough to me to know that there weren't any in zoos. Like that just feels like such a missed opportunity. I mean, granted, no one ever knew they were going to go extinct, but like, man, and honestly, they may not be extinct. There's actually, supposedly a bunch of evidence that thinks they're still out there, maybe. So, I mean, fingers crossed that that's all legit, but I don't know. It could just be like Neil Waters in the Thylacine, but we'll see. And finally, John James Audubon's well-known illustration of the ivory-billed woodpecker from his 1827 The Birds of America, as well as his dissection drawings, can be found within the museum's collection. Audubon's folio and a reproduction of this plate are currently on exhibit. We hope you will visit the Charleston Museum if you are looking for the elusive ivory-billed woodpecker. These items are on permanent exhibit and available during regular visiting hours. For more information, please visit the charlestonmuseum.org. Okay, so this one here is from beaconjournal.com. Like I said, go show them some love. Maybe we'll find something interesting. UA exhibit is for the birds, including critically endangered ivory-billed woodpecker. Critically endangered. When was this put out? 2022. Yeah, okay, guys. Birds extinct. We think it is. We don't know. It could be. It could not be. I hope the sightings are legit, but it's weird that it's still classified as endangered when we haven't seen one for so long. This story has been corrected to reflect that the ivory-billed woodpecker officially remains under the Endangered Species Protection Act. Polished and primed and patched, the ivory-billed woodpecker and its avian friends hadn't looked this good in decades. In fact, they were dashing enough to put on display April 29th in an exhibit conceived and created largely by University of Akron students. As part of a university's class. So I guess this one can be in the University of Akron. Part of the university's unclass, sort of a non-traditional offering that students help develop. The students chose the birds they wanted to revive, studied them, and learned taxidermy methods to make their subjects lifelike again. Students from other disciplines added materials and research like artwork. The birds are part of a 118-year-old collection pulled out of storage and into the limelight for the Cabinets of Curiosity Natural History Mysteries class led by Professor Laura Roquette. I'm sorry if I messed up that name. Director of University of Akron Field Station. I told my students last week this class was a dream come true to teach, she said at the exhibit opening. Reviving a century-old collection, the specimens comprise part of a collection donated early last century by Thomas and Sarah Rhodes, prominent Akron philanthropists of the era. After weeks of work, the birds went on display. Each of the specimens have accompanying artwork and literature. assembled in displays also created by students. Gary Holliday, Associate Professor of Circular and Instructional Studies at the university, said the exhibit was an amazing group effort. I love how all the different components worked together, he said. It was rarely a collaborative effort in many ways. Putting the color back in. The star of the show was the Ivory woodpecker, which received special attention. The last official sighting of the birds was in 1944. A lingering dispute about the bird's fate continues almost 80 years later, with NPR and National Geographic recently weighing in on the issue, and fans of the so-called Lord God bird claiming recent sightings. A U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service proposal to declare the bird extinct has been met with fierce opposition, with a 30-day public comment period on the plan concluding in February this year. Information on the service's website says a decision on whether to implement the proposal generously comes from a year after its proposal. The plan was announced September 30th. Mariah Burke, a taxidermy expert who is also secretary of the Ohio Taxidermy Association, was tasked with restoring the woodpecker. She said her experience at the Cleveland Natural History Museum and the Carnegie Museum of Natural History exposed her to taxidermy techniques used by some of the nation's best. The idea is not to cause any further damage, she said. The ivory-billed woodpecker suffered bleaching from light sources over the years. The tips of feathers were broken, and its neck was bent out of place. Burke said she made a patch on the neck with chicken feathers, realigned the neck, and cleaned the bird, which had accumulated soot and dust. I put some of the color back in, she said. The black had faded to brown. An idea takes flight. Works by university art students inspired by the birds were incorporated into the display throughout the exhibit, highlighting the collaborative nature of the project. Hannah Jackson, a UA student from Norwalk, said she had initial concerns about working with the birds for health reasons. Specimens preserved before the 1980s contain arsenic, which had been inhaled, or which can be inhaled. Students were required to wear a mask while restoring the birds. When I first started, I was a little hesitant about touching them, she said. Jackson and said students in the class split into two groups to prepare for the exhibits at UA and the library. Leave a message for Alan. Okay, if you go. The Cummings Center for the History of Psychology is located at 73 South College Street. It's open Tuesdays. I'll let you guys read that. That's just like the information. If you guys want to go and check them out, that's where you can go. So, okay, admittingly, I misread the first article, but that is still a museum you can go to see ivory-billed woodpeckers. I only got through another one, and that was actually a full display that you guys can go see. I was really disappointed to learn that we didn't have any in zoos. For a bird that seems so popular now, it makes it really hard for me to believe that they weren't in captivity at all. At least not in public captivity. Maybe private people had collections, but woodpeckers aren't easy to keep. I mean, they gotta have wood. They gotta have room to fly. These birds got big. If you put them in anything wood, they're just gonna escape because they'll just peck right through it. So I mean, it's not surprising that there weren't any, but it is really sad to me that we didn't have at least any way of keeping them in captivity back then. But and honestly, even if they did, they probably wouldn't have done very well, even if they were in captivity. So I don't know, guys. But hey, do me a favor. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys know where any of these are? Have you ever seen any in a museum before? Have you seen them in the flesh? Because everybody thinks they're still flying around, so maybe they are. We don't know. We just got to find them. But drop all those comments down below. Go ahead and hit that like button, that subscribe button, and turn on those notifications bells. And yeah, guys, without further ado, though, I'll see you guys in the next video. Oh, follow me on all my social media. They'll be right after this.